let's build ninjas! And welcome back to Let's Build, YouTube's most secretive deck building show. I'm Hardleg Joe, if you didn't know, joined as always by Twitch chat. Say hello, Twitch chat. Go and put some cats in the chat. Give us your best emotes. They're a bunch of rascally goofballs, but they're my goofballs. And they're here today to help me take a look at NINJAS, one of Yu-Gi-Oh's oldest archetypes, which just got some brand new support. At least it's brand new in Master Duel, which is where I play. So I'm going to be going over, looking this, trying to build it up. And if you're unfamiliar with this show, it is a blind deck building show. I do not know what any of these cards do. I have not read them before. But I have played Yu-Gi-Oh! For like 8 years at this point. I had a show where I used to play a new deck every single week, so I'm pretty good at checking out new cards, finding out what the playstyle is, and coming up with builds on the fly. As a result, this will not be the best ninja deck, probably not even close, but it will give you a primer on the new ninja stuff. We'll be going over all of it, and it should give you insight into how to build decks on your own, so that if new archetypes come out, you aren't reliant on other people, other net decks to figure it out. You'll get a little bit of that game knowledge that helps you determine what cards are best. Before we get into it though, I should mention real briefly that this channel's funded mostly by Patreon. I do have ads, of course, but the patrons are the ones that allow me to make weird, goofy stuff like this. So if you're interested at all, if you like the video, if you like the channel, and you'd like to support it, consider joining at patreon.com/hardleggaming. Just $1 gets you on the Discord, $2 gets you weekly updates. There's all sorts of rewards. You can check that out. Otherwise, let's go ahead and jump into this. Alright, so as I mentioned in the intro, ninjas is one of the oldest archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! I've got them sorted up here, every ninja by release date, with Armed Ninja going all the way back to the very first set, I believe, or at least one of the first couple, with intermittent support that, frankly, didn't really have a theme. It was mostly random stuff. They had kind of like continuous traps. And then there's other stuff like the Karakuri ninjas that aren't actually ninjas. And then they made an Ixie archetype that didn't do anything that the previous ones did. And then they added a bunch of like continuous traps. There was Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo, who came out in a Mega Tin, I believe. And he's like, you know that continuous trap they had way back in the day? What if they made the archetype all about that? And they did that. And then they added some pendulums to it. And then they added like a field spell and gave them a link that kind of added some of that together. And then there was a penguin ninja. And then there were the insect ninjas. There's just 2 of them. One of the ninjas is a Valence for some reason. And that brings us to this. So as a result, this is a huge archetype, but we're not reading everything. We're gonna start with the new support. I'm going to assume that this is the best. And you can kind of make these same assumptions when you're looking at any archetype. Like if they release new hero support, and you're like, I want to learn heroes, but I don't really know where to start, the newer cards are probably the better ones. Start with those first, and then work backwards from there. Although in the case of heroes, you probably want a guide for that because there's like 500 hero cards. Now from there, we've still got a nice set of like 10 cards up here. And as always, the question is, where do you start? What's the first thing that should give you a hint? And it's been a couple months since we've done a Let's Build. Chat, do you remember where do we start when learning an archetype? That's right, it's the field spell. Field spells often have unifying effects. If you're going to start anywhere, you should probably start with that because this will usually give you some hint as to the theme. So we got this one, Tenchi Kaimei. Nice little art there. Let's see what it says. This card is always treated as a ninjutsu art card. Alright, so we're gonna keep that in mind. I'm not sure exactly how that fits into things, but if they went through the trouble of having this change names, that means we're probably gonna see a card later on that searches a ninjutsu art card. So nice to know that this is probably searchable. When a ninja monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, target 1 card on your opponent's field and destroy it. Alright, it's not bad, but anytime you see a battle-focused deck, not exactly great. And then if this face-up card in the owner's field spell zone has left the field because of an opponent's card effect and is now in the graveyard or banished, target any number of ninja monsters with different names in your graveyard, special summon them in face-down defense position. Alright, so that effect is not great. You don't really want to see floating on like a field spell, although it does kind of hint that ninjas are going to do something face down. They wouldn't summon a bunch of face down ninjas unless we're dealing with like flip effects or cards that get their effects when they're face down somehow. I don't know, ghost tricks exist, that might work. So we're getting kind of a theme. I know that the original ninja was a flip monster. Flip, target a spell, destroy it. There's another one that targets a trap and destroy it, so I guess they're going with those. Maybe there's a couple more, but yeah, not looking great so far. Flip monsters are notoriously slow and not great. I'm not sure if they found a new way to make the ninjas update, but I guess we'll figure that out. Alright, so now that we've got the field spell, there's a couple different ways we could go. We could start with the highest main deck monster. We could start with the spells and traps, because there's very few of those, and they might unify things. But I think the best bet is actually starting with the extra deck monsters. They've got 2 new fusions, which is unique for the ninjas, and usually the extra deck monsters are the boss monsters, with the exception of maybe Runic. Usually these kind of, like the field spell, unify everything. They tell you what you're building towards. So let's start with these fusion monsters, check those out. From there, that should hopefully give some context to the rest of the main deck monsters. Alright, so first up, let's start with the higher level monster, Mazen the Battle Ninja. Warrior Fusion, 2500, 1500. Takes 2 ninja monsters with different types. Interesting. I believe all the previous ninjas, just glancing over here real quick, you can't really see it on your end, but most of them are warriors. But these new ones, we've got a winged beast, warrior, insect, beast, another warrior, rock. So there's more types. I guess they're forcing you to use some of the new ones in order to make these. At least one of them, and then they've still got warrior support. Must be either fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by tributing the above monsters you control. Okay, so you don't need any kind of fusion spell. We don't have to worry about those. Just as long as you get 2 ninjas on the field, you can make this do. Your ninja monsters can attack directly. Alright, that helps the field spell a little bit better, you know. Having to declare an attack to destroy something sucks, but if you can attack directly, especially as a continuous effect like this, it's much, much better. And while you control a face-down defense position monster, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, special summon 1 ninja from your deck in face-up or face-down defense position. You can only use this effect once per turn. Alright, so if they do anything, you just get a ninja out of the deck. Any ninja, face-up, face-down. So whether they have some kind of continuous effect on the field or a flip effect, you get them there. It's unfortunate that it doesn't like also flip them up, because then you could immediately access their flip effects as quicks. But the fact that while this is face down, your opponent can't target this for attacks. Unfortunately, in this day and age, they're probably just going to use effects to get rid of your face down monsters. But it is nice, especially in a more simplified game state, that it's like, if you think you can just attack this and ignore the flip effect monsters, you're wrong. You have to attack the flip effect monster, get that flip effect, and then this stays around so that if they do anything else, you can get another one. Yeah, Birth by Sorrow over in the chat being like, yeah, this is a very weird Link 2 monster being all purple. And yeah, it does essentially work like a Link monster. I guess the advantage of making it a fusion instead, well, there's 2 that I can think of. One is because it's not a Link, it has the ability to go face down. I'm not sure if that benefits it in any way, but the fact that you can flip all the ninjas is kind of nice. And then also, if you don't know, fusion materials don't have to be face up. If you've got 2 face down cards, you can activate polymerization, and as long as those cards you send to the graveyard, like they can check on resolution and see if they're proper, then you're fine. And that works even for contact fusions like this. So the fact that it's a fusion means that like if you have 2 set ninjas, you can still use them as material to make this. You don't necessarily have to flip them up. Maybe you'd want to, but you know, maybe they get stuck down. I know Book of Eclipse is very popular in this format. Alright, so let's look at this other fusion, Yagamura, the Armor Ninja. Kind of weird looking, kind of a strange art style for the ninjas, but it's a machine, so they're keeping with the theme of like 2 different types. This also takes 2 ninja monsters with different types. It can also be fusioned or special summoned by tributing the above cards. So again, you don't need any kind of spell for it. Slightly weaker with only 2000 attack. Let's see if the effect makes up for it. If this card is special summoned or flipped face up, you can banish one other ninja or ninjutsu art from your hand, graveyard, or field, then target one card on the field and banish it. You can only use each effect once per turn. That's really not great. For considering it's a fusion monster that you have to put face down and then flip up to trigger its effect, it should just banish a card from the field. I'm not sure why you have to banish another card and why it targets. That doesn't feel great, but it does kind of show the idea of why is this a fusion? Because if it were a Link, you couldn't flip it face down. They wanted to give an extra deck monster that has the flip effect. Maybe there'll be some easier way to trigger this. Maybe there'll be some monsters that want to be banished. As far as I know from the previous ninjas, there aren't. But, you know, it's still not worth getting rid of. Maybe it's worth playing as one of. Alright, so now that we've got our two fusions along with our field spell, it's really hammering home the playstyle here. Not only are we setting monsters face down and flipping them face up, but we're also swarming with them. We're trying to out-advantage our opponent by getting a bunch on the field. This has to do with swarming. This has a floating effect that lets you get a bunch of ninjas on the field, and you're rewarded for doing so because you can convert those ninjas, whatever their attack is, into these two. So in that case, I think we're going to start with the lower level ninjas first. Lower level monsters tend to have not very strong effects, but they tend to have the summons, the searches, the things that get you to that. If anything is going to build up so that we can use these two monsters, it's probably going to be the lower level ninjas. So we'll go ahead, I've got them in order here from lowest to highest level, with the lowest being Tobari the Sky Ninja. Winged Beast, 0 attack, 0 defense, level 1, so it's like a 1-for-1 target if you need be. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects the turn it was special summoned or flipped face up. But I guess that effect doesn't apply when it's face down. Like, you special summon it face down, but it won't have its continuous effect because your opponent has no way to know it. You know, still pretty nice that if it does flip face up, they can't destroy it, you know, if they attack into it. That makes a unique little lock with this where it's like, they can't attack this, they have to attack the Tobari, and it's not destroyed by battle. So you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Send this card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon a ninja from your hand in face up or face down. During your opponent's main or battle phase, quick effect, fusion summon one ninja fusion from the extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. Alright, that's kind of strange. Okay, so on the one hand, I was half right. This does presumably help you with swarming, because you can normal summon one monster and then discard this to get another monster. It also means that all the high-level monsters, all the high-level ninjas, especially the flip effect ones that were usually huge investment, are now a lot easier because you can just discard this and then special summon one from your hand. It sucks that it's not from, like, Graveyard 2, but I guess I understand. And then if nothing else, like, you know, if you have this and, like, 3 ninjas in your hand, you can normal summon this, and then during your opponent's turn, just turn it into something. I guess that's also like, you know, you summon this off of Mizene, they have to attack into it, it's not destroyed, and then during the battle phase, you could turn it into one of the other things, because you can activate that effect as a quick effect. So it's got a little bit of stuff. I'm not quite seeing everything, but I guess we'll continue on. Next up is Green Ninja. Just green, just warrior. 600, 600, level 2. You could play this in sprites if you wanted to. If a monster is special summoned to your field face up, except during the damage step, you could target one of them, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, change that monster face down. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you could target one monster on the field, change it to attack position or face down defense position. Alright, so this works to flip stuff. If a monster gets special summoned face up, you can just summon this from your hand and flip it back face down. So that way, if you have any other card that doesn't summon these, like, face down to begin with, I guess it works with this guy. Alright, so this is a little weird, but I think I'm starting to see what they're going for here. If you can summon any 2 ninjas, including one that has, like, a useful flip effect, it doesn't matter how you summon them, as long as you can special summon them, you get this on the field. And what it does is it flips one of those face down. You can then use this and the other ninja to make the fusion, and then when this goes to the graveyard, that one you flip face down, you immediately flip face up. So this gives you the ability, if it's in your hand, just summon any ninja, and just voop voop, down and up, use the flip effect. We just gotta hope that some of these, I assume some of these higher ones are gonna have some pretty strong flip effects, but we'll see, we'll see. Alright, next up, Mitsu, the Insect Ninja. Also level 2, another sprite. 200 attack, 2100 defense. If you control a ninja card or a face-down defense position monster, you can special summon this from your hand. Well, there you go. That's how you swarm. That's how you get 3 ninjas on the field. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, target one defense position monster, change it to face-up defense position, and if you do, change this monster to face down. Then if the targeted monster was a ninja monster, except herself, negate that opponent's activated effect. Wow, that was a journey. That was a long one. There's quite a bit there, but let's see if we can parse this down to its bare essentials. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can negate that effect. And in order to do that, you've got to target a face-down defense position. So this one, you know, if nothing else, it's just spam. You can put more on the field, it's material, but if you leave it on the field, then it becomes a negate where the cost of activating the negate is flipping up another face-down ninja. So you can activate that flip effect while triggering something. So it might be worth it to leave her on the field if you can keep more. I just noticed she's got a big spike hand. I don't know how I missed that. I assumed that there was just a hand here, and then I'm like, nope, I guess she's like a wasp or something. Frickin' wasps! Pretty neat, I get it, it's coming together. If nothing else, it's very original. I don't think there's any other card that's like, as cost, flip a monster face up. Okay, next up, Baku, the Beast Ninja, who, is it this wolf man? Or is this doggo carrying a scroll in its mouth who just thinks that he's a fierce beast man? I don't know, I assume it would be a beast warrior. Either way, it's a level 3, got 1500 attack, so decent. We finally got something that with the fusion's direct attacking, this can do some significant damage. If this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it. Alright, so that searcher gives you an immediate level 3. If this card is special summoned or flipped face up, target one ninja or ninjutsu art in your graveyard or face-up spell trap zone, return it to the hand. Ah, I see. So at first I was like, okay, it's just a recovery card, but it returns the field spell to the hand. Let me read this again. If this face-up card left the field because of an opponent's effect. Wait, so this doesn't work. Unless there's some way to give it to your opponent, but then they would have to target... No, it's one in your face-up spell trap zone. Okay, so you can't use this to trigger the field spell and just like summon a bunch of ninjas out of the graveyard. But I guess it has something to do with the other ninjas in your spell trap zone. But yeah, it's still recovery, and as someone is pointing out in the chat, it's a golden retriever. He retrieves your ninjas from the darkness. This is pretty good. This might have some synergy with the other ninjutsu arts. I know sometimes those can get stuck on the field. Maybe adding that back. I guess there is one other thing. When a ninja deals battle damage, you could target one card, destroy it. That is not once per turn anyway. That was my other thing, was like, oh, maybe if that's a once per turn, this can reset it during the battle phase if you flip that up. But this isn't a hard once per turn anyway, which is actually pretty neat. That means if you can get like 3 ninjas on the field, along with this guy and the field spell, you're like attacking directly and just popping 3 cards. No, it doesn't look that none of these are hard once per turns or even a soft once per turn. Not a single once per turn on there. Maybe that has to do with the other field spell. I know they had another field spell from the older playstyle. Maybe that's just allowing you to like reuse them, swap them out or something. Either way, so far, this seems like a one of. Anytime you've got a recovery card where all it does is get stuff back, you usually don't want to open with it because recovery on the first turn is not all that important. And the fact that you can summon it by searching it means it was like designed to be searched in a very niche situation. Okay, moving on, we got Kagero, the Cannon Ninja. She's a warrior lady with 1600 attack, 2000 defense. Got the big grenade, you know, walking around there. And if this card is normal summoned, special summoned, or flipped face up, special summon one ninja from your hand or graveyard in face down defense position, except another copy of itself. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets exactly one ninja or one face down monster while this card is in your graveyard, special summon this face down, and if you do, return the targeted card to the hand. Alright, so you put this in the graveyard, and then, you know, when you summon something off of the fusion, if they try to be like, oh, I'm going to get rid of that before it can flip, you can essentially dodge out of that removal, summon this, bring that back to the hand. I'm not sure what that has to do thematically with the big gun, but it's interesting. And then when this is flipped face up, summon one ninja from your hand or graveyard. So it dodges out, puts itself there, and then if they attack into this, when this is flipped up, you just get that monster back. You get the monster back that you return to the hand, because you could just summon it out from the hand again. Very interesting, and even though it summons out of the graveyard, it doesn't seem to have anything that banishes it. It's just a hard once per turn. So this also strikes me as maybe another one of, because it's something that once you get in the graveyard, you could just use it over and over again. Hard once per turn anyway, so you don't need more than one. Although the fact that just when it's normal summoned, you can get a ninja out of your graveyard, that kind of means it's pretty good recovery. It just gets you anything back. This by itself, if you have anything in the graveyard, is an instant, not an instant fusion the card, but it gives you the materials you need for the fusion. So that might be a 2 of, maybe even a 3 of. Hard to say, we'll have to see the rest. And that just brings us to Joe Biden, the gravity ninja. Look at that old man. He stopped being president and he became a ninja with a big old magnet. So this is a rock type monster, cause he's solid as a rock, baby. Got 2300 attack, 2900 defense. Now that's some pretty big damage attacking directly. And if this card is normal or special summoned or flipped face up, target 2 face-up monsters on the field, chase them to face-down defense position. And if you do, your opponent's monsters that were flipped by this effect cannot change their battle positions, period. It's Burying Mirror Force. Go face down and never wake up again. Which is kind of neat. It sticks them there, and then you can attack directly if you have the fusion. So in a way, it's got this cheeky zone lock. Face down monsters can't be used as Ixie, can't be synchroed, can't be linked. Unless they're tributing or fusion summoning, those monsters are just stuck there. And unlike something like Burying Mirror Force, or Quaking Mirror Force I guess it's called, where you have to attack over those monsters and get rid of them anyway, this time it's just like, nah, you just attack directly. You don't have to worry about those. Those monsters are just, they're donezo. Pretty nice, even though it's level 8, so it's kind of hard to get out, but I mean, discard Tobari, summon it. You know, your opponent activates an effect, summon it from the deck. This doesn't say level 4 or lower or anything. This just says special summon a ninja. So this seems like this is the weapon. This is the flip monster. I don't think there's another ninja that's better. We'll have to look through the other ninjas and see if any other ones have cool flip effects. But this feels like the big one, because not only can you flip your opponent's monsters face down, essentially make them useless, just attack over them, but you can also use it on your own monsters as well. You can flip them face down to get use of their flip effects. Although now that I'm getting here, most of these flip effects so far are just like summoning other stuff. Summoning to get things, maybe we can make links or whatever. We really will have to read some of the other ninjas, unfortunately. We can't make a pure ninja deck with just this. But we've got most of this, and that's not even all the effect. If a monster on your field is flipped face up, while this monster is face up, target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. Alright. So if you flip your own monsters face down, and then you flip them up, you get their effects, and then yeah. So this is your boss monster. This guy, you know, I thought this was the boss monster, and you know, this is pretty good. This helps set up your win condition, but your win condition is him. You are playing Yugioh control, with maybe another ninja in there as help, but the fact that this deals with 2 monsters at a time, and then can also take out back row and spell traps and other things, link monsters by using the destruction effect, triggered by using all the rest of these. Pretty darn good, pretty darn good. Everyone in chat is saying you're playing this at 1, and yeah, probably, because it's big, and once you get it out, it seems like you have a lot of ways to summon it back out of the graveyard. I mean, this is just special summon a ninja. Yeah, there's no level requirement, so once you get this into play, the only reason you might want to play this at like 2 is if there's a lot of banishing in the format, because if this guy gets banished, you're in a bad way. You don't want to lose your 1 copy of it, unless there's something, no, that requires your opponent. But we'll see, we've still got some spells and traps. Let's check out these other spell traps and see what else we can do. Okay, so they've got an equip spell, which is usually not good, but who knows, it's a modern equip spell, might do something. Ninjutsu Art Tool Iron Digger. The equipped monster gains 500 attack. Also, it's treated as a ninja monster. So this allows you to turn anything into a ninja monster. I've been seeing in the chat, a lot of people are mentioning like Boral Sword, and I was like, How is Boral Sword going to attack directly? Ninja Boral Sword. With this, you can turn any extra deck monster, access code, whatever, into a ninja monster. If you get that on the field with the fusion, then you can do this. The question is, how easy is it to get this? Is it worth searching? Is it worth summoning? We'll see. Let's read the rest of it. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. Banish one ninja from your graveyard, then target one card on the field and destroy it. So more destruction. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, target one of your banished ninja monsters, add it to your hand or special summon it. Alright, sent from the field to the graveyard. So you do have to set it. I'm not sure if we have any way really to send it other than Yugioh, but that does give us some recovery. That means that we're not really worried about banishing this, because we do have a way to get it back. Whether or not that way is super effective or easily accessible, we'll have to see, but we do have a way. Oh, Chad is pointing out, you just activate this on anything, and then if you link it off or fuse it off, because it could equip to whatever, then you just get to special summon your banished monster. So yeah, pretty good. I guess the question is, what do we play this at? On the one hand, it seems pretty good. We'll have to see. I assume that this has to be like a searcher, right? Like, there's no way this modern archetype didn't get a searcher. Let's see, Ninjutsu Art Notebook of Mystery. Quick play. If your opponent controls a card, you can set up to one ninja monster and one ninjutsu art spell trap, except for another copy of itself. Wait, so if your opponent controls a monster, you just set any ninja and any ninjutsu art. Well, I guess we have to read the ninjutsu arts. I guess those aren't out here. The flip monsters and the ninja arts are gonna be good. Just a search too. It's a double searcher. And again, no restriction, so you can just put Yugioh down there. You know, just throw them down if you feel like it. These cards come from your deck and or graveyard, but only one can come from each. Ah, okay, I should have kept reading. I didn't know there would be another part after the period. So you can't necessarily get two, but it works both as a search and a monster reborn. That's very interesting. So if this set card on the field is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster on the field, change it face down. Okay, so you can set this, your opponent summons a monster, you activate it, or you wait for them to try to destroy it, try to get rid of it. If they do, then you can chain it, it gets destroyed, you flip their thing face down while also getting two monsters back. Alright, it seems pretty good, probably still worth doing, although it sucks that your opponent has to control a card. That makes it seem like this is go second, but I find it hard to believe that any flip deck would want to go second. I feel like you need to set stuff up, but we'll see. I guess you're playing during your opponent's turn. And speaking of which, Ninjutsu Art of Dancing Leaves. We got a trap card. This more than anything should help us play on our opponent's turn. And it's continuous, so once it's there, it stays there. What do? Activate this card by targeting one ninja monster or one face-down defense position monster on the field. Tribute it, and if you do, special summon one ninja monster from your deck. Oh, just period? Just period. So, one, it can't summon face down, but you get Yugioh and you can get other stuff that maybe flips it. Notably, this is any monster on either side of the field, so you can tribute your opponent's monster to summon something from the deck. That's a +1. Pretty nice. When this card leaves the field, send that monster to the graveyard. Okay, so it works kind of like Call of the Haunted. It's on the monster, and if they get rid of this, it gets rid of it. Okay, so that's all when it's activated. So you only get to do that once. You don't get to tribute a monster every turn. But it looks like this one you can do every turn. You can target one ninjutsu art, continuous spell trap in your spell trap zone, return it to the hand. And it doesn't say except this, so you could just add it back. And you can only use one per turn and only once that turn. Okay, so if you summon the monster, you can't return the trap to the hand. You could do that next turn. But it stays on the field if you like fusion summon or link summon or whatever. So next turn, you can send the monster off, do some things, and then return this to the hand to use it again next turn. You just continually use it, or if you get other ones stuck there, you can bounce them back. Fairly nice. Its removal, it summons from the deck. This might be, assuming this is a go first deck, maybe a 3 of, unless we've got other ways to search. I don't know. Alright, so that's all the new cards, and from here it's just a huge swarm of a million ninjas. Now I'm going to look over all of these. Twitch chat is going to be there to help me, but I won't make you sit through all these. Obviously, you got to put in the work on your own, or at this point, maybe you look up a deck building guide. But I'm going to look through all of them, and then I'll pick out the ninjutsu art and the flip monsters that I think fit most, and then I'll come back and we'll look at the rest of this deck. Alright, so after looking over all the ninjas, there's actually not as many flip effects as I thought. There's not a whole lot of payoffs. In fact, we ended up only finding 2 that really do much of anything, and they're not what I expected, and chat doesn't seem to think they'll work, but I want to do something interesting with this, at least to start. So one of them is this Karakuri ninja. It's still technically a ninja monster. Like all the other Karakuris, it must attack. If it's selected as attack, it changes position. But like a ninja, when it's flipped face up, select one monster on the field, send it to the graveyard. Now this is old-timey, like before problem-solving card tech, so that does actually target. But the fact that it can just non-destruction removal send a card to the graveyard might actually be useful, at least as a one-of, at least for now. We're gonna try this. The other one is Senior Silver Ninja. When this card is flipped up, special summon any number of ninjas from your hand and or graveyard in face-up defense position. This one, again, maybe it's a little bit too win more. Maybe we'll have our field filled up. But the idea that, like, if we have this out and we summon this, and then, like, if it gets flipped face up, we just get everything back. It just makes it much more difficult to chew through our board and allows us to have follow-ups. And obviously, if they don't destroy this, right, if we can get this and then prevent it from being attacked or whatever, then next turn we flip it up and we just get, like, everything back. We could just link off, we can fusion off, just get a whole bunch of stuff, summon that back. Now, one thing we're absolutely playing is Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo. When this card is normal summoned, add a ninjutsu art. If it's flip or special summoned, add a ninja monster. Neither of these are once per turn, so if we have some way to, like, send this to the graveyard and summon it back, and send it and summon it back, which chat says there's some people that could do that, we probably want to do, even if we can't do that, the fact that, like, this searches the searcher, searches the tool, searches either one of the field spells, were pretty good. Speaking of the field spell, they do have the other one, and I honestly think it's better than this one. We might end up playing 3 of this and just 1 of this that we can tech out or search when we need it. But this is, if a ninja is summoned to your field, you can target a ninja or ninjutsu art in your graveyard, add it to your hand. For the rest of the turn, you can't activate cards or effects with the same name, but that's fine, because getting back the resources, especially if they're ninjutsu arts, we can set them and then just activate them next turn or activate them during the opponent's turn. This is at least getting you some advantage. More importantly, if ninja monsters or ninjutsu art cards would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, banish one ninja from your graveyard instead. I feel like in this deck where we have a lot of spell traps where we swarm the field with monsters, stuff like Raigeki, Dark Hole, Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, that's really what's going to screw us over. So being able to blanket stop that, just banishing something out of the graveyard, seems like it would be pretty useful. If those end up not being tech cards that see a lot of play, we can probably get rid of this or maybe switch it down to 1. But initial gut reaction is that will be good. And then finally, the only ninjutsu art that I really liked was this Art of Duplication. Tribute 1 ninja, special summon any number of ninjas from the deck in attack or face down defense, with combined levels that are less than or equal to the level of the tributed monster. So worst case scenario, right, we just have like a level 4 on the field. That gets us 2 level 2s, including the one that's like a negate by flipping this face up. Or it could get us like a 1 and 2, or 2 and 2 1s. If we get an 8 on the field, that's like a whole field full of stuff. If we just get a 4, we could trade it out for a Hanzo that searches us a card. Just being able to turn anything into anything else seems like it's pretty good, especially when it's like searchable with 3 or 4 different cards. Now, these weren't the only good ninjas I found. I did have some other ones. A lot of people were talking about this. Tribute summon it with 1 ninja. You can change it from attack to defense to summon 2 ninjas from the graveyard. Pretty good summoning, pretty big attack, 2,000. But because it doesn't have like a flip effect, we can't use it on our opponent's turn with a lot of these other things. I decided to go with the Silver Senior Ninja instead. This gets rid of back row when it's summoned. This is just a free special summon by discarding a ninjutsu art. This searches more ninjutsu arts, but you have to discard ninjas for it, which, I don't know, it gets some setup. Maybe we should play this at 1. We'll see. And then we've got the 3 back row removal flip cards. Ninja Penguin targets 2 spell traps, returns them to the hand. This destroys 1 spell. This destroys 1 trap. These are both good if you're facing back row heavy decks. If we get into a format where, like, Labyrinth is good again, I might seriously consider putting in 1 Penguin Ninja or 1 Crimson Ninja, because we have a lot of ways to get it out of the deck and then reuse that effect over and over again to out-resource our opponent. I mean, who knows, even against Branded, this one might see some play. But for now, we're just going to keep them at 1, and those will be like maybes. Same thing with this, Armor Ninjutsu Art of Rust Mist. When a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field and you control a ninja, have the current attack of that special summoned monster. This is just like Black Garden. If you flip this up while you control a ninja, all your opponent's monsters have their attack halved. That seems like a pretty good floodgate, especially when you've got a whole lot of removal, especially when a lot of your stuff is relying on the fact that you don't get destroyed by battle. I'm not sure if it's necessarily good enough, especially since we can attack directly anyway. Big attacks don't really matter, but it's something worth considering because, again, it just is so searchable. Alright, and thanks to chat for pointing this out, there is actually another ninjutsu that I missed because it doesn't mention ninjas whatsoever. I searched for ninjas and found all the ninja cards, but this just says if you control a ninjutsu art, destroy as many other ninjutsu arts as you control and then draw 2 cards. So it's just a pot of greed, and that along with the notebook is basically like activate this, discard a ninja, search this, activate, draw 2. You know, draw 2 is usually good, except it's not actually like a plus. In fact, it's a minus. You're using this and a ninja, and then getting rid of both of those, plus this card to draw 2. So it'll be -1, although if you normal summon something that gets an effect out of the graveyard or whatever, it might work. So it's worth maybe possibly considering if you want the graveyard set up. I'm not going to be playing it right now, though. Alright, so now that we've got the core ninja package out, the next thing is to decide the ratios. How many of each of these do we want to play? And to start with, I think just as far as like searchers, if we got the card that searches stuff, we probably want 3 of that. This, I really don't know. Going second, it's pretty good because it gets you some stuff out, but going first, I mean, it does just automatically summon something from the deck. Set a ninja monster and a spell trap, but you can't use the spell trap. I guess some people are saying it 2. I guess since I can't decide, we'll go ahead and play it at 2. I played at 3. I mean, I guess we'll see, but I just feel like, you know, first turn, all this is you're gonna set it, and then set a monster during your opponent's turn. Alright, so after that it gets pretty tricky, because we don't really have, like, a simple searcher. Basically, we want to get to our win condition, that being Yugioh on the field, and then Mitsu that can negate an effect by flipping him up. If we can get both of those into rotation, that's how we're going to lock down the game. There's not really a super easy way to search either of these, although this does set Yugioh. So if we're aiming to set Yugioh on the first turn, then this does that, so we do want to play it at 3. Now, the only way to really get this out is either with the ninjutsu art of Dancing Leaves or the ninjutsu art of Duplication. So despite the fact that these are traps, I think we're actually going to play both of them at 3, because these just give us so much advantage being removal or summoning from the deck that I think it's worth having them in here. Now, of course, since we're trying to end on her at all times, being able to have her probably good, so we want to play her at 3 as well, especially because she's an extender. She's not a brick like Yugioh is. Even though we want to get him, we don't want to end on something where, like, he's stuck in our hand. She will not get stuck in our hand, so we're good. The Beast is recovery. I think we only want to play that at 1. This is actually pretty good, because it summons Yugioh out of the graveyard. So in some ways it's kind of recovery, but that also means that if like all we have is Yugioh and the ninjutsu art of Duplication, we can tribute him off and then get like 2 plus 4 plus, I don't know, another 2, the green ninja, or 2 Tabari. We could summon these from the deck, and then Kagero immediately brings the Yugioh back. So I think that's worth playing her at least 2, just so that we have more chances to get that effect off. Alright, and then these 2. These are a little weird. They're kind of extenders. They kind of let you combo off, which I'm not necessarily sure if you want to do. But considering how few good monsters we have, I think we're just going to go ahead and play them at 3 for now. If we realize later on that we don't want these if they're not powerful enough, then we can always get rid of them. And then everything else, like this is a situational 1 of, this is a 1 of, this is just removal that we're playing at 1. This is searchable 1 of, this is searchable 1 of. These 2 I'm not really sure about. I guess we have a million ways to search this. Now that we've got the Hanzo and we're playing at 3, I don't think we want this at the moment. The hidden ninjutsu art. I guess it depends how often we're getting hit with stuff that destroys the back row. Again, we've got 3 of these, and we've got 3 Hanzo. These both search the ninjutsu arts, and this does it while getting a monster out of the graveyard. So I think we're pretty good with these ratios. From here, it's just tech cards. All the tech cards, and of course, this being Master Duel, there's some very clear tech cards that we have to play. Things that just automatically get put in here. Good old Master Duel tax. Da 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 da. And then from there, there's one tech card that's being used right now to combat purely. It's also good against Kashtira, especially if you get the new one. And those are the books. Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse. Either one could do particularly good. But I think we're going to go ahead and try Eclipse, because that flips our monsters face down as well. And especially if we flip their stuff face down with Yugioh, it can't be flipped up, so we can activate this and it won't do anything. Now, for the sake of consistency, we're going to go ahead and play this at 3, just so we have 3 versions of it. And because people are saying this is a little dangerous, because if they have any back row removal, it kills all the monsters that summons, and plus again, we've got double ways to search it, we're just going to go ahead and go for that, try that instead, for a nice even 40 cards. Oh, the extra deck! I completely forgot when we were looking through stuff, we found extra deck monsters too. And one thing that's highly important to play, Ninja Grandmaster Saizo. This is the actual Link 2. Any 2 ninja monsters, which is not hard to get, during your main phase, set a ninjutsu art from their deck. You can only use this effect once per turn. Monsters, their cards this card points to, can't be targeted for attacks or with card effects. So, if you could make this first turn, not only do you get half of the setup, but you can summon Yugioh underneath it, and then it can't be targeted. With your opponent's card effects. So you can still target it for like transformation and stuff, but it's just even more protection. In fact, we probably want to play at least 2 of those, now that I'm thinking of it. Now, there are a couple ninjas that might be worth playing. Blade Armor Ninja seems like it's good OTK, 2 level 4s. Target a ninja, it can attack twice. And again, because we're attacking directly, this by itself is already 2200. This is a weird thing, but it's kind of neat. We're going to play it. I'm not sure if we'll ever use it, but we could certainly try. And then from there, the sky's really the limit. There's a whole bunch of links. As again, people were talking about, we got the ability to attack directly. We have the ability to turn anything into a ninja monster. So Boral Sword seems like a pretty good thing. It is 3+ effect monsters. I feel like maybe access code would probably be a little bit better, although it can't necessarily attack twice. Going with that, we probably just want to go ahead and play some Nightmares, help to free up some space, get some stuff into the graveyard, get rid of some back row. And a lot of people are saying Cross Sheep. 2 monsters with different names, so it's generic, and then it gets effects depending on if you special summon a monster. If you special summon a fusion, you could summon a level 4 lower monster out of the graveyard. And wouldn't you know it, we have a lot of ways to special summon a fusion really easily. I'm not sure how easy it'll be to get like 4 monsters on the field where we can make this and a fusion. But if we do, we could like bring back Hanzo, and then when this is special summoned, add a ninja, maybe add something, extend even further. So we'll try that out. And maybe I should go ahead and fill in the extra 2 cards, but an important part of testing, of learning a deck, is trial and error. When you're building something, you're never going to make it right the very first time. And oftentimes it's really good, especially when it comes to extra deck, is not too worried so much about making it full. Go in, play some test hands, play some test games, see how it runs, and then if you find yourself in situations where you're like, oh man, I could really use like a Utopia the Lightning, well, you could put that package in there. If you find any kind of situation where you're lacking and you have monsters on field, that's when you can start to do this deductive reasoning like, what was I missing that would have helped me win the game, and figure out what to put in there. For now, we've got all the main things that we're considering, so we should be pretty good. Speaking of testing, we should go ahead and give this deck a test. Try it out, see how it actually plays now that we've built something that's mostly full. So I'm getting some patrons together, getting some fans, some of Twitch chat. They're gonna come down, we're gonna play a few duels and see if we can get a good example of how this deck is supposed to work. Alright, we get to go first. Let's see if we can set things up. Unfortunately, we opened with one of our weird one-ofs. If a monster is special summoned, when this card is added to your hand, this card attack must attack if able. So I guess we set this, and we set this, and we set one of these, and we hope we didn't get any of our 3-ofs. An inauspicious start to the testing. Okay, so I didn't really want to have to do this at this point, but I can't allow them to get to, like, the Link 3, because that would be really bad for me. So we're going to go ahead and try this now. We're going to activate the Dancing Leaves. We're going to send this off. They're going to Ash. Fortunately, we had the anti-Ash grenade. And they had Cross Out. They were just a step ahead. What can I say? And I feel like perhaps we may want to Cross Out because the fact that we summoned from the deck with a bunch of stuff means that Ash ain't gonna be kind to us, and Ash is still played at 1,000,000 because Max C's played at 1,000,000. There will be no Biden blast this day. Oh, it didn't do its summon animation. I thought it had one of those. 3 of them things. 3 of them things. All right, let's try again. Okay, let's try this again. Let's say this hand's a little bit better looking. A little more nice, a little more fabric-y, you know, as they say. Normal summon Tabari. Special summon Mitsu. Howdy. Then we go for... I think we go for this guy. Everyone else says we should make the other one that summons one from the deck, but I think getting the card that summons from the deck a little bit better. Set a card. It ain't that hard. Set a card. Do it all you want. Alright, show me what you got. Fenrir. Unfortunate. Fenrir's gonna search. Unfortunate. Unicorn. This doesn't feel like the Scareclaw deck I just faced. Okay, now let's try this. Ninjutsu Art. Summon Yugioh. Where is he at? He's gotta be somewhere. Everything's like somewhere, man. So we're gonna do that, and then we're going to duplicate. Goodbye! And we'll summon, we need to get this one, and this one, and I guess 2 of these, because why not? Okay, so we're gonna put a Sky Ninja here. One's gonna be face up. One is gonna be face down. The Insect Ninja, she's gonna be here face up. And this one's gotta be face up. And we're gonna use this Cannon Ninja's effect to summon Joe Biden from the graveyard. And he gonna come out. He gonna be big. They're gonna activate Fenrir, and I'm gonna be like, you didn't say the magic words. Get negated! And then Joe Biden will come down and slam down the fist of democracy into defense position with ye. What are you doing? You could special summon this card from your hand. Well, I've got Maxi too. So take that. I get a card. Yay. No, stop doing things. You're supposed to stop. Okay, we'll go ahead and use this while we're here. And we'll make Maizen, the Battle Ninja. Oh, it's gotta be 2 with different names. Well, you've already used your effect. So we'll go for this. They've activated something, so now we can Maizen. And the question is, what do we get that does stuff? Not a whole lot from here. I mean, we could summon Hanzo and we'd get a search. We could summon this and have backup for next turn. I think we just go for the Hanzo, right? Hanzo misses the timing. Well, that's good to know. Never summon Hanzo with Maizen. Gotcha. They're gonna blow up my ninjutsu art. Oh no, my one Tobari. Hey, Lisa. Starfrost here. But he came back. Your monsters are still locked under the weight of the Gravity Ninja. Okay, you're not locked under the weight of the Gravity Ninja. You're just a dang old bobblehead. What does this do? You can special summon this. This card, add 1 Scareclaw spell trap. Okay. Scareclaw Arrival. Special summon it in defense mode. Alright, so they're summoning back the Scare Cache. And this is where we activate this. Everyone go to sleep. Nuh-uh. You didn't say the magic words. What? Why did these... Oh, they can't change battle positions, but they can flip face up. Ain't that a kick in the dick? Now they've got so many cards. Granted, I don't think it really matters. But it doesn't really matter. 'Cause you'll all be doubled over with laughter at the expense of others, maybe even your brother. Won't you join the Hardleg tonight? Ha! Maxi, I will not be special summoning. I will be flip summoning. Go, Joe. Flip these two face down. Let's go ahead and flip this up. That activates Joe. Pop field spell. Let's flip her face up. Let's flip up Hanzo. Search a card. Why not? You know, everyone likes to search a card from time to time. I think we go for this one. And then what? This is just game, right? Like, this is just Omega game. I mean, I guess we'll just make absolutely sure. Hanzo, search another quick play. I don't know, the digging tool. Sure. And then we'll give them 1 draw off of Maxi. And hope they can't Nibiru off of all the flip summons. Okay. Activate, detach. Maizen can summon twice. Battle phase. I don't even know why you necessarily need the Boral Sword Dragon. It feels like if you can shut them down for 1 turn, it's pretty easy to have way more than enough damage. So that's how the deck works. Granted, we had Maxi, so we got to draw a whole lot. It really does suck. It feels like we should be able to do more off the Maizen, and maybe we can. But it's like they gave it so many good tools for like summoning and getting things on the board. You just don't have, you only really have 1 tool for like dealing with stuff. Hard to say, hard to leg. Alright, going first. And was that every 1-up in our hand? Sure, every 1-up in our hand. Fortunately, this works when it's normal or flip, so we can normal Kagero, activate Kagero, summon Biden, set a card. Do we make the one thing? No, we're good here. Yeah, we'll just do this now. I believe this, special summon, yeah. Beat this off, summon her. The Insect Ninja. Oh, hello there. They thrashin'. Yeah, I think this does it. Activate. Flip. Never mind. Well, fuck me, I guess. It's okay, I'm in defense mode. They don't do piercing or anything. Hide! Yeah, I can't target anything because I got the Star Liege. What's giving everything attack boost? This guy? Rip Aroni. Alright, so there you go. I think we showed off kind of what the ninjas can do, and also kind of their limitations. They're, you know, it's interesting that they have such this emphasis on summoning from the deck, on flip summoning, and then really they'd only have 1 monster that does anything on flip summon of any value. I'm not sure if the Biden control will really work as well as people seem to think. But, I mean, that's why we then take this and we go look at net decks. We look at what other people have managed to come up with. Because there's probably tech cards and stuff that we didn't see in our short time of just sort of looking at the ninja cards and remembering off the top of our head what stuff has to do with flips. Maybe there's something better, maybe there's combos that I'm missing. But now that I know how to build the deck and what all the cards do, understanding those combos in that net deck will be a lot easier. I won't have to actually memorize all the stuff. I'll just be able to see, oh, okay, that's how they're interacting with those things. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Thanks, as always, to Twitch chat for joining me on this and giving me some helpful hits. Let me know if you'd like to see more Let's Builds in the future and what kind of decks you would like to see. It's always good to read over some new cards, figure some things out. Otherwise, until next time, good luck and have fun.